What's going on, you guys? I'm going to show you guys how to make one of my favorite meals. However, I'm going to do a little bit of a twist to it. I'm going to use chicken instead of ostrich. Reason being is I want to show you guys that you can't eat rice and chicken without having to fucking kill yourself from how boring it is. Right, let's check this out. All right, guys. Rice, chicken, and mushrooms is the meal. Right here, we have basmati rice. This is a spice for rice and some mixed herbs. I will also put a little bit of salt into this when it goes into the rice cooker. All right, chicken, nothing fancy about this. Just gonna use some Winchester grill spice and some lemon juice, marinate it for a little bit before it goes into the pan. Mushrooms, okay. Good old Taj Mahal, dhania and jeera spice, garlic powder, crushed garlic, mushrooms, and then my favorite of them all, the secret ingredient in, pineapple.
What are you doing?
This, I'm cutting my mushrooms with scissors. I know it's not a usual cutting tool, but trust me, for me, it's just easier cutting things up with scissors as opposed to cutting everything individually with a knife. Okay, for rice, guys, I normally just use a rice cooker when I'm doing rice. So for my portions, all right, I'm gonna measure 100 grams of raw rice. Okay. 100 grams of that. Okay, with spices, I don't get too fixated on certain amounts because spices are totally fine. It's not like they're loaded with calories as like a marinade or sauces would be. So with this, I use what Uncle Roger would say, use feeling. Okay. It's fine. And then I normally just add a bit of water and salt in this and into the rice cooker it goes. All right, guys. Right, for the mushrooms, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, if I've got time, then I'll normally cut up a little bit more extra veg into this, like onions and green peppers and whatnot. But we're in a bit of a rush today, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna spray a bit of olive oil, spray and cook into the pan. Okay, mushrooms go straight in. Okay, let them cook for a little bit. As they start to turn color and get a little bit soft, that's when I'll start to add the garlic and the spice. I generally tend to add the garlic towards the end purely because of not at the beginning, is because what I've found is that when you throw garlic into the beginning, it cooks it away and you don't have much of a garlic taste in the mushrooms. Okay, for chicken, what I like to do is I like to cut this into little strips. One of the cool things about having little strips is that it kind of makes the food look a little bit like there's more volume to it. And also it's just easier to put down when you're eating a lot of food, man. Like just to sit and eat a whole chicken breast on your plate. Like it just looks monotonous and boring. Okay, cut that up. My portion for my diet would be 200 grams of raw chicken is what I would weigh for this meal. So that comes out to about 180, 178, something like that there by the time it's cooked. Most meat shrinks anyway when you do cook it. All right, this. Okay, slide it all into the bowl. Okay. And then the lemon juice. Also lemon juice, I just use feeling. And spice, guys, you can use any spice that you want. The cool thing with the lemon juice is that one, it helps the spice bind better to the meat, and two, it gives a bit of like a zesty taste. So any spice will go really well with this. Okay. All right, guys, remember I said to you, when it comes to cooking my veg, I tend to wait a bit until it's cooked through thoroughly first. So if you can see here, my mushrooms have browned a little bit. All right, now I'll start adding the ingredients into it so that I can still taste it when I go to eat it. So got some garlic here, and like just use feeling, don't measure anything. Okay. The dhania and jeera spice. Bit of pepper. Okay. Salt. Okay. Just stir it up a little bit. All right, and then from here we go across our chicken. All right. Generally, I tend to like cooking my chicken on fire, so whether it's gas or a coal braai. Then second option to that generally is air fryer. However, you gotta admit, pan fried chicken does slap. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. So a bit of olive oil spray and cook. Okay. In the chicken goes. It's been marinating in the lemon juice and the spice for a while. Now we just wait for that. So it's pretty much done with that now. All right, guys, that's all the cooking done. So now time to plate it and go get something to eat because boy, I'm starving. All right, so let's put some mushrooms in here. I'm bringing back my friend scissor to cut my chicken and my pineapple into smaller pieces, probably because I just do not like eating chunky anything. Oh, one of the things, I don't always use the spice for rice, for yellowing the rice. It all depends on my mood and how I'm feeling. Sometimes I'll just have rice plain white, and what I'll do is I'll just put some mixed herbs in there. It all depends on what I'm eating it with. So for example, with this, the spice for rice actually, not only just the color, but the actual taste of it itself. When you have pineapple with it, they go really, really well together. Okay, now before putting the pineapple, guys, there's sauce you can use it that go really, really well with this. Again, sauce for me depends on what mood I'm in. You can put mustard here, it'll go really well with the yellow rice and the pineapple. You can actually use, I use this here. This is really, really good. So just a little bit of this stuff just over my chicken. I try not to use too much sauce when it comes to putting fruit into the food, because then I find that the fruit taste gets diminished with too much sauce in the food. Got my good old friend scissor here, helping me make my pineapple smaller and easier to chew. All right, can't wait to get stuck into this. Just cutting out the last few pieces of pineapple, and then yeah, we'll get stuck in. Okay guys, before we get stuck into this meal, I went and got myself a Coke Light. I generally like having a beverage of this type with this meal. Taste goes really well together. And before we get stuck into this meal, I have to say, I already know it's going to be fuyo, as Uncle Roger would say. Cool.
What are you drinking there?
Coke Light. I genuinely enjoy having a nice beverage, maybe twice a day with my meals.
But isn't that bad?
Coke Light, no, actually. So if you choose low to 0 calorie beverages, it's completely safe. It's completely fine. If you're having like normal Coke or normal Pepsi or normal Fanta, then yes, that's all calories that are adding up at the end of the day. That'll put you in a surplus over above what you've been given to eat, whatever your maintenance is. But you get different low kilojoule drinks these days. So you've got like the Coke Light, for example. There's Coke Zero. There's Sprite Zero, Fanta Zero. There's even Stony Zero now. And then obviously there's all from the Pepsi company as well. There's Pepsi Light, Pepsi Max. I forget the name of their version of Sprite. It's also quite good though, but there's also a zero version of that. Yeah, no, there's plenty out there that you can drink now these days. It's not as hard, should I say, as it used to be in the old days where you didn't have these options and these varieties.
And what is your take on juices? Like that claim to be completely sugar-free, but still contain, they're not 0 calories basically.
So this is the thing. Something can be sugar-free, but still have calories. Because all they're doing is they're using some sort of other filler in there. So for example, they could be using some sort of carbohydrate, some filler of some sort, and then they're using artificial sweeteners to give it that sweet taste. So with juices, I'm afraid it's not possible to get them 0 calorie, or at least not yet anyway. But you could incorporate juices into your diet. I mean, I remember there was one stage when I was eating like 6,500 calories, and man, it was just too much food to get in. So I got some of those calories out of having juice with like almost every meal.
And what about energy drinks?
Energy drinks, again, it's the sugar content there, so better to go for the 0 options. Like I know Monster, Play, and I forget the other brand, make 0 drinks, and they're totally fine. I mean, the only issue you would have there in terms of consumption in a day, obviously, is the amount of caffeine you're going to have.
So how many meals do you eat in a day, and what times, and does it matter what time you eat?
So training days I have 7 meals, rest days I have 6. I try and space them every 2.5 to 3 hours apart. However, sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's fine. It doesn't really matter whether you eat on time or not, as long as at the end of the day it's the amount of calories that you get in. And it doesn't matter whether you get them in every 2 hours, every 3 hours, or have to be a little bit later than that. As long as you get your meals in, you'll definitely see some progress.
And about how many calories do you eat in a day?
Oh, I'll tell you now. I have to check my phone for the exact numbers from my coach. It is, give me a sec. So this is on training days. I've got 5,011, and then training day, and then non-training day we're at 4,367. Yeah. And no, it's not all just chicken and rice. There's a whole bunch of variety in my diet. My coach has like a lot of different micro and macronutrients per meal as well. It's pretty interesting. Very different from the way I've done things before.
And what kind of meals do you eat in a day?
Okay, so breakfast, I'll start off with some oats, berries, honey, and some beef protein. The berries will be a mix of raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries. Then the second meal will be some sweet potato, veg, and some sort of venison of some sort, be it kudu, buffalo, ostrich. Third meal I'll have is some yogurt with berries, chocolate, and protein powder. This is just the standard, but I do get a bit of variety options, so I can plug and play as I choose according to my portions. And then after that, I'll have some potatoes, more venison, veg. And then after training, I'll have some cereal, some almond milk, some beef protein or whey. And yeah, and then later I'll have this meal because it's one of my favorites. But instead of chicken, I'll do like some sort of venison or beef, in fact. And then before I wind down for the night, I'll have some muesli with some yogurt, some protein powder, and berries. Yeah.
And going a bit off track from the whole eating clean kind of thing, what would you say is your favorite, should I say, off-program meal?
Damn. Okay. Where do I begin with this? I'd say it all depends on what I'm craving at the time, man. So definite go-to for me is definitely hot dogs and chips. Yes, I know I'm a grown-ass man, okay, but I still love my hot dogs and chips. You know, put a bit of tomato relish in the hot dogs, and that'll always be a winner for me. I generally prefer home-cooked meals, so a nice curry, stew, that really slaps, you know, a potjie. If I want to have something out, I'd probably go to like a nice steakhouse. Sushi never fails. And good burger and chips, man. They're good. But generally the burgers and chips, I tend to like a homemade burger and chips, just purely, not to brag, but I generally prefer my own burgers, see what's out there.
And how often do you have these kind of meals?
Oh gosh, when I do feel like it, hey? So I can go like maybe 16 weeks without caring for one, for example, and then I will feel like something, then I will have. Unless my coach specifies that I should have something, then I will have it. But generally, I just go off. I kind of make sure that I really want it first before I do, because sometimes obviously you get those cravings in the week and all that kind of stuff like that. And then you're like, do I really want it? If I don't, then I leave it out. One of the things though, which I'm not gonna lie about, that also prolongs me having a cheat meal or off-plan meal, is never knowing what I want, and I end up scrolling through Uber Eats for like an hour. And by the time I've decided what I've wanted, all the places are closed, and therefore I just diet food for the rest of the night.
Okay, so right now, are you eating for like cutting or bulking, maintaining, recomposition? What exactly are you doing?
Okay. This is probably gonna piss some people off. I fucking hate the bulking and cutting words, because like, what are we bulking? We're not a fucking bulk carrier. We're not a flippin' rice or wheat producing factory. So what are we bulking? You know what I mean? And then the cutting thing, scissors, the knife, these are the tools that we use for cutting. So I generally refer to it as a progressive phase and a fat loss phase, or contest prep if that's for people that are competing. So at the moment, I'm fully into my off season, but like I mentioned in my chest workout video, right now I'm just getting back into the groove of things. So at the moment, I'm more in like a small growth phase before we get into like a really hard push phase, which will probably be later in the year. But right now, it's just a matter of just getting into the groove of things.
Okay, and what kind of advice would you give to someone that's struggling to stay on their diet plan and they just find it too difficult to actually eat clean and healthy?
Okay, so at the end of the day, it's discipline. You can't say that you want a certain result, but you're failing to comply with the steps to getting there. So it's like, you can't be like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds, but now I can't eat this and I can't that, and I'm craving junk food every night, whatever. All you're doing is showing that you're mentally weak and that you just lack discipline. You shouldn't need motivation for something that you really, really want or striving to get. Discipline is absolutely needed for success, not motivation, because motivation wears out. Motivation can last 3 minutes, it can last 3 days. Motivation tends to last for people up until they see their pictures or look at themselves in the mirror or stand on a scale and it hasn't moved and nothing has changed. Now all of a sudden their motivation has worn off, and then they go into eating bad things, putting themselves further back than where they are. So I think discipline is absolutely necessary, as with every other part of your life. And another thing is, why are you letting your mind dictate to you what you can and cannot eat? Like, you should be able to control your mind and make it in such a monarchy way that you tell it, I am doing A, B, and C, and the rest of the body should follow through.
Okay, and our last question, similar to the one before, what are your thoughts on people that say they're going to gym tomorrow, they don't end up going, say they're going next week, but they get too busy, and their version of busy is just sitting in bed and doing nothing?
You mean being fat fucking lazy couch potatoes? Yeah. Again, that's a discipline thing, right? You shouldn't need motivation to go to the gym. You should be able to just be like, I'm going to the gym, and again, you are telling your mind, I am going to the gym. Whether I'm having a shit day, a good day, or a lazy day, I should be able to just go to the gym, give it everything I've got, and come out. And I guarantee you, even on the days that you have no motivation whatsoever, that when you go and train and you come out, you'll feel 10 times better than what you did sitting lying around on the couch. I promise you, just the endorphins that training releases will make you feel much, much better.
Okay, so I know I said that was the last question, but one more came into my mind. So for people starting gym, how many days a week would you suggest that they train in order to get results, but still, not overwork themselves?
For newbies, man, max 4 days. Like, okay, so if I'm drawing up a program for somebody that came to me like, hey, Tom, I'm new to the gym world, I don't know anything about it, but I want you to just guide me through everything. Then with regard to their training program now, I'll normally give them a 3 or 4 day split starting out. So it's generally like a push-pull legs, or push-pull legs and arms, or something like that, for example. And let them actually build some sort of foundation with their training first before we start getting into the nitty-gritty things. Like a lot of it will be all like compound movements and all that, so that they get used to it. It feels like going to gym. Intensity obviously will not be that high, because I know a lot of people don't like the feeling of being sore. So for a newbie to feel that pain, like if you overwork them for the first time, they're not going to enjoy that feeling whatsoever. And it might actually, because I've never felt it before, that's the feeling, when you walk around like you've got rickets in your legs. Once they feel that, they may be afraid to feel what the rest of the body feels like, so they might just lose motivation altogether. So genuinely go in with like a beginner's program, let them get used to it first.